All right, guys, we're live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Bitcoin analysis. Spontaneous one here, obviously, with the craziness going on in the charts. Donald Trump, the president of the US, just announcing that the strategic reserve will include XRP, Cardano, and Solana. So massive news for the crypto world, and an announcement that we've obviously been waiting for, and especially really good announcement, good timing there on Donald Trump's part, as the tension was rising after the meeting with Zelensky, obviously. So now we got to see the key levels, right? You see the chart here in the background. This is obviously exactly what we've been looking at the last few days. I told you in the exact last video, when was it? Yesterday, I think I published a video. We were talking about the most likely scenario for Bitcoin here, and I told you guys, if I had to bet the house on one scenario for Bitcoin, is that we're going up here now to retest this previous area, right? The key entrance here, obviously the 38.2 with the previous range support. We just broke through that like butter here, and now we're getting into the key area here that we need to break out of in order to show a breakout also on the larger time frames. So what we want to do here is now reclaim here this area here. We want to get above there, 98,300, an area that we've been talking about for weeks now here on this channel, a absolute key resistance area across all the time frames that, of course, was giving us here support, resistance in this range here. And once we lost that range here on the 4-hourly chart that we were talking about, on a 4-hour closing basis, then the likelihood was that we're going down here, and that this time here around this support was not going to hold. And that's exactly what happened. Look at this right now. We're sitting right at 95K now. So this is really, the tension here is really rising now at these levels. So you can see here, obviously, the support previously from this range here. So that will turn into strong resistance now as well. Theoretically, this would have been here really strong resistance on the way up as well. But with the news, of course, like that strategic reserve from the US coming out, and that's obviously massive. And now we're going to see if the resistance pushes the price back down. Obviously, a breakout here now would indicate that we're going up to these targets here on the top, 106 to 109K, and most likely breaking that area and putting a new all-time high. But really, guys, I'm obviously excited here. It's good times for crypto, great times in the market. And we got to see now, really, we got to stay level-headed, though, and have to have in mind what really is important from a bullish perspective now. The key levels are right above us now. You can see right here. It makes a lot of sense. This downsloping resistance here has been holding the price down here since the beginning of the year, right? Since January, since we put in our all-time high and then broke down from there. And there you can see right now, we got rejected there, and we're getting straight back up here to this resistance point. And that comes into play here, the confluence with the previous range support. And then right above us here, also the 61.8, obviously a key level on the Fibonacci retracement that comes here from the all-time high to our low that we now basically confirmed. And I told you guys in yesterday's video already, that for me, that was the perfect spot here to enter a long position with that dragonfly doji at the bottom, and especially if we confirm it over on the 3-day chart as well, which we did. And you can see here, yesterday we confirmed this, and we just blasted up from there. You see here this chart, this path obviously that I drew on the chart. This is something that I published here on Twitter as well. And you can see 1st of March. And these were some scenarios that I already told you guys about here February 25th, so a week ago, that there's two likely scenarios, that we come down here to the area where we just bounced out of and then get back up here above and break out, or that we lose it here, go down to the 72 and 74K range, and then get a bounce from there and come back up. So very similar to what we predicted here, and exactly what we predicted here yesterday, that we're now going up here. I told you guys, he also wrote it, right? There are many possible scenarios for Bitcoin to continue in this bull market, but if I had to bet the house on one of them, this one would be the one for Bitcoin. And retest of the previous 90 to 92K support area, followed by a drop and retest to previous 74 to 72K range, right down here. And we get to it now, why I think that it's likely now, obviously with these massive news. It's the same thing the other day. We have to look at both sides of the coin always. We had it the other way around from a bearish perspective, right? We looked like we were breaking out on the charts. Everything was pointing towards a breakout on the daily chart, on the 3-day chart, on the weekly chart, across the board. It looked like it. And then the hack occurred where 1.5 billion got stolen from worth of Ethereum from Bybit, and the whole market dumped, of course. Now we have the other thing. We have the exact opposite scenario. We had massive news coming confirming the strategic reserve for the US with crypto involved, of course, with Solana, XRP, Cardano. And if you look at the charts, all these assets are flying right now. So we got to see right now if this is not just the exact opposite of event where we just have a flash crash, the other way around, a flash rally, right? And then hit our resistance levels and then come down from there again. If we get rejected now, of course, let me go back to the chart. Makes it a lot easier to show you guys. Sometimes I just talk and I can't even understand myself. But yeah, obviously here. So this is what I was talking about. Let me go to the daily chart. So here we put in this bottom, then we started rallying, right? And we came here to this key level. You see, we broke the previous highs here. Sorry, guys. We broke the previous highs here already, the 98.3K level. And then this is exactly where the hack occurred. And that's where we then broke down and found this key support level here once again. You saw that those were the exact patterns that I was drawing up in the charts over on X. And now we have to see whether we stay in this trend, exactly like we did. Even though we had this massive crash here, we still managed to stay in this trend. Can we break out of it now, or are we going back down to the trend support? And there's a few things now that I will show you, apart from this chart here, that confirm my thesis that I also posted over on Twitter, that there's likelihood that we get rejected here right now and then come back down from there and find the support of this trend here, of this downsloping trend again, of this massive falling wedge, right? And that would also lead us then here into the key area of 72K and 74K. You can see here, this is obviously something we've been looking at here for weeks now on the channel. This was the most likely scenario for Bitcoin always to come down here. We didn't make it all the way down here. We were just above it. Obviously got a massive turnaround here now, quick turnaround. I was expecting this to take a little longer than just one massive candle to get up to the resistance levels there. But obviously, massive news create massive candles. And talking of massive candles, look at this weekly candle here now. I mean, this is a thing of absolute beauty. We lost a range, right? This range here fell down onto the 50 on the Fibonacci retracement, this being the smaller Fibonacci retracement that you can see here coming from the previous range low to the current range high. And now we're closing, it looks like we're closing this weekly candle, of course, today in about 6 hours. It looks like we're closing it back inside the range. So that would make it look very bullish here. And that is something that makes me think then, if we now don't get rejected and do close within the range within the next 6 hours, that we're not going back down here. Then another scenario obviously comes back into play, and then it's more likely that we just blast off from here and break the top, right? Then it just looks super bullish across the board. Here, the weekly chart, look at the 3-day chart as well here. This exactly the candle we were looking for yesterday. And now we see here we're in the area that we want to break out of. We're sitting below the 50 of the Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low, already broken to the entry level of the 38.2. So here, somewhere between the 50 and the 61.8 is a very likely spot to get rejected and to come back down. Now, obviously, as bulls say, we hope here that we get the breakout, that we close here on a weekly closing basis. Maybe not this week, but hopefully next week above 98,250 roughly, and then basically seal the deal here and take control again over the market and break the previous all-time high, and then go to our targets here in the 120 to 124K range, right? That would be our next price target above us. So yeah, guys, a lot of scenarios come into play now that we've been talking about for a long time. And as it happens in crypto, always everything happens suddenly out of nowhere and all in one day, and here even in one candle, right? So now a few things that we need to consider here that are not so bullish. Let's go into the CME chart here. What is all this? Yeah, we need to remove one Bitcoin chart. Okay, let's just hide it. And there we see it. And then we go over to the daily chart. And here we need to look at some gaps, of course. So we have a massive gap here that you can see. This is CME, so obviously the price action right now is not included. We closed CME on Friday here at right around 84,600, right? So now we're sitting here right at the top of this gap. We just closed this gap here. We're sitting right at 94K. So we have a gap now, a CME gap here between 84.5K and 94K. So the likelihood is that we come back down from this perspective. You can't see the gap right now, but trust me, this candle closed here on Friday, right? You can see it down on the bottom, Friday, 28th of February. And now at 12 o'clock, is it 12 o'clock? 12:01 a.m. Central European time. I think it's 6 p.m. Central time. The CME will open again, the futures trading, and then that candle will of course open where the current price is for Bitcoin. And right now we're sitting right at 94K. You can see it here, 93,800, and that's exactly the top here of the gap. So we closed this gap now, but there's one gap that we did not close, and that's this massive gap here. This is coming from when we were consolidating in this range here, broke the previous all-time high of 69K, put in the 74K top here, and then broke down to 50K. After we came back up from 50K, we broke out of this range, and right when we broke out of this range, we created this gap here. So this is obviously a gap that can be filled after the bull market on the way back down, and but more likely that we fill it before, right? So, but with the current action, it's very questionable. I can't really, as you see, there's no certainty right now. You have to be ready for both scenarios. We have to be ready for rejection now. Then we have a good spot to start shorting. We know exactly where the support levels are. That is then the point. If we get rejected now, lose the 90K range again. Let's go back over to the chart here. If we get rejected here now, exactly in this range where we are now, maybe even all the way up at 98K, it depends now on the price action, then it's likely, I mean, if we then follow and close below the range again here, below the key range of 92K to 89K, right? Then it's obviously a huge trap here, huge bull trap. And then we can just basically expect that the price goes back down here, closes the gap, and also comes down to another key moving average, of course, that we've been looking at here on the channel as well. And not only recently, but also already a few years ago, right? In the last video, guys, if you haven't seen the video, make sure to check it out. I predicted basically everything that's happening in the charts right now. You can see it right up there once I post the video, but in the live stream, obviously not. And you can just go over to, what's it called, my channel, and there's the last video. And I can show you here, actually. No, I can't. Sorry, guys. Anyways, last video on the channel, go check it out. And there I made it very clear, guys. I told you exactly that this is my most likely scenario here, that we go back down here, visit this area, and then continue back down here to the 72K and 74K range. And there comes the moving average, right? This is what we spoke about in the last video. You see here the confluence area. This moving average here is the 50-week SMA. And this 61.8 on the Fibonacci retracement here lines up perfectly also with another level on the Fibonacci retracement of the entire uptrend, right? We have all the way from the bottom, from the 15K range to the 109K top. This is the Fibonacci retracement. And the entry level is the 38.2, obviously, lining up with the 61.8 and the 50-week SMA. And I showed you guys already yesterday, guys, this is such a strong indicator here for Bitcoin to indicate when a bull market starts and when a bear market starts, right? So every time in a bull market, we came back down to the 50-week SMA and did not bounce from it, right? And fell below it after we put in an all-time high. That declared that the bull market was over, that we were going into a bear market. I'll show you again, guys. Here you can see from that key range that we just spoke about where we created that massive CME gap here. That's also when we came out of that, we went down to that moving average, the 50-week SMA, bounced off it, and then came out of that range. And here was the time when we got back above it after the bear market. Right here, you can see March 23, and then reclaimed it, and that's where the bull market was basically confirmed. And that I tell you guys, because every time we did that, it happened before as well. So this is the 2021 cycle tops here. You can see we got a bounce from it here for the summer low after we put in our November all-time high of 69K. The moment we closed below it, go retest, rejection, fell down, and then put in our bear market low. The moment we got back above it, it's when we started the bull market, as we just saw. And let me remove the volume, actually. Makes it a bit crowded at the bottom. And then we go to the previous cycle top here of 2017, 20K top. See the same thing here again. Let's go back before the cycle started. We came from the 2013 top, fell below it, bear market, came back above it, bull market, right? And then here it was the same thing again. Fell below it, got rejected, bear market, bottom, got back above it. So you can see there's like no exceptions here. After we put in all-time highs and fell below it, we always marked that we were in a bear market. And when we got back above it, we always started the new bull market. So this is all still lining up down here, waiting for us in case we get rejections here now and come back down to test those levels. And if not, on the upside, guys, you got to keep your eyes on today is obviously the weekly candle closing, in alignment also with the daily candle, as always, as every day, hopefully. And there you can see this is looking extremely bullish here, that we're getting back into the range. This is actually what I talked about in the video as well. I told you guys, unless something crazy happens, that we rally back up here and close back inside that range is very unlikely, right? But we did it. And this is a $18,000 candle here, something that's never been anywhere on a weekly chart for Bitcoin, or I can't imagine for any asset. And we had such a massive candle here, and it's just crazy. So keep that in mind. We want to close this weekly candle here right around 93,500 to reclaim that range here on a closing basis. And then we look on the 3-day chart as well, which is not closing today, still 2 days left. So nothing really to identify there today. But then we have the daily chart, and here it's very important that we reclaim this range here. And for that, we want to get a close here above the previous range closing low. So there we see here right around 91,000, right around 92K. So 92K to the upside here is where we want to close above. And to be really, really bullish, we want to get back above the previous support line here, which lines up perfectly with our downsloping resistance at the exact candle where we are. And we want to stay above the 50 here, break through there, and then ideally break through the 61.8 and close above 98,500 to confirm a breakout here and to take out the previous high. Of course, guys, you see there is a downsloping channel here. We can even draw that a little bit more precise as the tops are touching perfectly of it. But as I always tell you guys, I do not rely so much on diagonal lines. If they come in confluence with horizontals and other indicators that I rely on, then of course I take them into account as well. But here is the important thing is to break the previous high. By definition, a trend reversal occurs when you break the previous low on the downtrend, or when you turn from an uptrend into a downtrend. And if you want to go from a downtrend into an uptrend, you need to break the previous high, right? Instead of printing lower highs, you want to start printing higher highs. And that's what we've been doing here. We have a high, lower high, another lower high, and now we want to take that out and get out of that structure, break the market structure, and start printing higher highs, and then followed by higher lows would then confirm the uptrend and the continuation out of this range to new higher price targets. Right, guys, not much to add from me here. This is a live stream now. I didn't actually want to do it today, but the market screamed for it, and I didn't want to let you guys not get a video today when there's so much action. I mean, what kind of new YouTuber would I be if I wouldn't take these kind of opportunities to bring out content, right? But I'm saying this because actually I'm